You have many times yet to go experience. You just have to be willing to do it and take the time off to do it. That's what it is. It's just
I am I am mostly like you too. I just pack and leave. I don't really plan that much because I think it's way much more fun and much more exciting, and I learn more in a short amount of time. And I have a philosophy actually about traveling,
tell me.
is that my philosophy is I love to grow fast up here.
Yes.
And I think traveling does that to me in a short amount of time. So instead of me living life and passing years and learn something, I believe that traveling in one place that I've never been before will get me there faster. So it's like a express train for me. So that's my philosophy.
That's interesting. I'm not, maybe that's my plan too. I never thought of it that way. That's an interesting way of
Because it
thinking.
stretches you in so many ways. It stretches your mind, you brings you out of your comfort zone
Yes,
in
right,
ways that you've never experienced before, and
right.
you get to know yourself a lot. We have a saying that I actually grew up with.
What is that?
If you want to know somebody on a deeper level, go on a trip that you've
Oh,
never
yes.
been before.
It's the best dating advice you could give everyone. I know. I agree. I'm the first person to go with subscribe to that thought.
But I
And
want to ask you this actually. Do you think that traveling will make you wiser, kinder? It will teach you more about patience. What would be so specific about traveling that will teach you as a human being about the way of life?
well, I can only speak from my experience. I realize that even though I may have an idea when I first see something, I may have an idea of what it's going to be like, but I've learned that that is generally not correct when I'm traveling because I really have no idea. I've just gotten a first impression.
Yes.
So it has taught me, I believe I have more patience. I don't have more patience with me, but I have more patience with everyone else. And I'm willing to watch, although I probably will go first, even though that would be my tendency. But I will watch to see how it all evolves and what happens. And then I will have learned from that experience. And I know it's taught when I return from a trip, it teaches me more patience with everyone and with the situation. Um, and then I get back into my old patterns, of course, and living in New York where it's fast, and I get into that too. But I try to stop myself and say, no, wait a minute. And I found for myself, for me, I used to do this when I was an avid tennis player earlier in my life. And I found when I wasn't hitting the ball right or when I wasn't standing correctly or whatever, I used to have a little saying that one of my tennis for my doubles partner used to say, Mother Earth is supporting your feet. And in tennis, because now with it open and so forth, is where you put your feet is important with how you're going to hit the ball. And so when I knew that I needed to pay attention to where my body was positioned, I'd say, Mother Earth is supporting me. And that would remind me to keep my feet in a certain place. And then I didn't always win the point, but I would play a much better game of tennis. So, and my point was not to win. My point was to have a good time and play the game. I used to keep the ball in play longer and not go for that fast shot and get over with it unless I was getting exhausted. Then I would do that. But otherwise, I much preferred the rallies just because I like the game.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And I played my best tennis when I was down. Like 15, 30 love, then I really dug in and reminded where are your feet. It's a good teacher for me.
If all these travels and if the world were a teacher for you and were to teach you one big lesson that you have learned from all this traveling to different places, what would you call that lesson?
I'm going to think a minute.
Sure.
I I'm going to say this. I think this is. I'm coming to this point. But basically, yeah, I know what it is. It proves to me
Ah,
that we are all basically the same. We all need rest. We want shelter. We want food. We have different circumstances, but we all basically are the same. And it really matters not what color your skin is, where or how you live. We're human beings on this planet. And I personally believe that, speaking specifically for Americans, because I am American, we've gotten off track on that. I think we should be more respectful of each other. And because I've discovered that there really isn't any difference between us. We have different ways of talking, different ways we look, and different things that we eat, and we have different morals, yes, and so forth. But basically, we are all the same. And I make it my business to be as helpful and as kind and as friendly to everybody that I meet, because I've never walked in their shoes. I don't know what they're going through. And some people can have really a bad day and they're ornery and they're awful. And rather than being annoyed at them, I just think give them the space they need. And I think that's the thing that's taught me from all these travels. And I will continue to travel to places where I've never been. I haven't been to Iceland yet. I haven't been to Antarctica. Let's see, I haven't been to Australia or see where else. I haven't been to the Pacific, like Bali, any place over in there, over that area. Um, I've met people from Australia, and I
right.
haven't done much. I've been in Japan on an airplane and in the airport, but that's not going to Japan.
It doesn't count.
That doesn't count at
That
all.
doesn't count.
So I am off in November to Bangkok, Thailand. I'm looking forward to going into all those temples and being very much in a spiritual
Oh,
state of mind. Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. I'm looking very much forward to that. I don't really know I mean, I've tasted Thai food. I love Thai food. I mean, all these kinds of things, but let's just say I don't know that much, and I'm going to learn, and then I'll come back and I'll give you my experiences. But
can't wait.
it'll be fun, and I also know it'll be a spiritual experience. And I'll tell you something very personal.
Please.
I was originally going to go on this trip with a dear friend of mine that I've known since 1991, and unfortunately, she passed away as a shock to me. And so I thought I was going to go with her, and she had said to me that she was looking forward to going, and she didn't have the same seeking spiritual knowledge in a spiritual way. She's been more pragmatic and so forth in her life, but we were still best friends and we were a lot alike. And she said to me, I'm looking forward to going to visiting all these temples. She said, because if I were going to choose to be spiritual, to me, I believe I would like to be a Buddhist. And I said, oh, I love Buddhism. I figure every kind of spiritual journey is a good one as far as I'm concerned. So she said that to me, and I thought, that's interesting. I've never heard her talk like that before. So when she died, I thought, oh my goodness. And then I was just thinking, oh, I don't want to go without her, blah 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 blah. And then I thought, no, I feel that I'm going to connect with her spirit when I get to in those Buddhist temples.
Yes.
And I thought, I must go. I have to go. So I'm going. I mean, and the rest of the group were happy that I'm going because there's like 5 or 6 of us that are very good friends, and they said, "Oh, you should go. You should come anyway. I know you'll miss her, blah blah." And I said, I know I'm gonna at some point in that whole month, I will be in contact with her spirit. I'm just sure of it. Where, how, I don't know. So that's interesting. I've never left on a trip expecting something, and I'll just keep my eyes open.
Have you ever met an enlightened person in India or any other places that you how was that experience for you?
It's fascinating.
Can you tell more?
I can tell you, I I found there was a man in India that he had an aura about him, and his eyes had this amazing pure quality, a color I can't even describe the color. It's almost iridescent. It wasn't glowing, but it was glowing. And that's a very poor description. I apologize for that. But he had an aura around him. And he spoke. It was such wisdom, so calmly, so sure. His walk was in sync. And he wasn't young. He probably was quite old. But he just had this movement, sort of as if he were an angel, still embodied. Did I have a conversation with him? Yes, but it was more of a feeling than it was a conversation.
What did you learn from that experience?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know if I have a lesson that I learned, but I was amazed. I
Do
was,
you know how he got to that point in life?
do I know? No.
Did you ever get to know how he got to that
No.
point?
I didn't, and I didn't have, it wasn't the courage, it just wasn't the time, or it didn't feel right
Okay.
for me to. I felt maybe I would be disrespecting him if I asked. But I was in awe. Let's put it that way. There was an awe. It was an awesome feeling, and you just know. I mean, it just was it was a spiritual kind of a vibration. But it was beautiful, and it was very comforting. I wasn't uncomfortable. I don't know if you've ever met somebody that's very
I
spiritual.
wish. I wish because I haven't met so far
Yeah.
yet, but it's one of my biggest desires in life to meet somebody like that or be around somebody
Uh-huh.
and learn what their journey was.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I'm sure that you would love to do that, and it just didn't feel right to even ask. I think I just accepted. But it was definitely experienced. It was like having the experience with the bees too. I mean, it was just like one of those mutual kind of. It wasn't the same as bees, but the acceptance of being in that
Yes,
aura, just
exactly.
being in that light, in that aura. And I do, for me, light is very important. And, there was whether I'm traveling or when I'm just walking in New York City streets, if I have any feeling of any sort of danger or uncomfortableness, I generally just imagine in my mind that I'm in the spotlight on a stage, and that light protects me.
That's a good one.
Hmm. And so, and in that same vein, if I'm going to do something very difficult, which, for instance, like maybe making a talking to somebody that's in pain or close to death, or whatever is in my journey of being a Stephen minister or so forth, or a deacon, I ask for the universe to help me let see all that I need to see, but helped me not to see what I don't need to see. And if you're on the stage, if you've ever been on the stage, you know that if you're on stage and the bright light is spotlight is on you, you can't really see the audience. So that is my protection. When I feel even physical or emotionally afraid, that's what I do. And when I was in this man's aura, I felt just open and free, but I could see he had his, he was so amazing that feeling of protection, I felt very good. And I was in awe, but I couldn't even open my mouth, basically. But yet I felt it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That was a very good tip.
Yeah. But there's another one too. If you sort of know, especially another one is called a golden mesh. So
Golden mesh.
the golden mesh is, like this, all this mesh. So just, Harry Potter, right?
Yes.
And the invisible cloak. You have your own invisible cloak. It's a golden mesh. You put this mesh over your whole body, stem to stern, top to bottom, and you can let all the good in and you keep all the bad out. And nothing bad will happen to you, or no bad vibes will come to you then, because you can only get in the good stuff. The bad
Yeah.
stuff is covered, protected, but you can still see it. That's a mesh.
That's a mesh.
Yeah, because in the spotlight you can't see the stuff that's
The other.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great tip. Great tip.
Well,
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. I want to ask you this. I want to know whether you have experienced joy in one of these travels and the places that you went to where people had less but had a more full life with very less material things,
yes.
but they experienced way much more fullness of life.
Mhm. I have seen that in almost every country I've traveled. First of all, my first experience was when I was with a family. It was in Turkey. We visited a farm family, and the barn was connected to the house, and they invited us in. They probably weren't as needy as other people have been, because they obviously knew we were coming in. Obviously, they'd been paid by the tour director or whatever it was, but they had less. But that family seemed to just enjoy their moment. And there was a grandmother, a grandfather, a mother, a father, and children, and animals. And I thought, these people seem to be super happy, but I wouldn't want to live like that. That was one experience. Now, even closer was another family that I visited last year in India. They had the goats. They had put together their house where they were sticks, actually sticks of like branches, and they had little airspace between. You could see the air between it. And so you looked at that and you could see light coming through. And I thought, oh my goodness. In the rain would come through. They made their roof out of pieces of tin, stones on top of it to keep this canvas down. They cooked no, they had a little tiny, like a hearth on the ground with a little fire in the fire pit, and one little tin or metal saucepan. It wasn't a saucepan, but it was a little metal, not a bowl, but it had a handle on it. And they would boil whatever they were going to have, like the goat's milk. They would boil that and then put it into their coffee and water or whatever. But then otherwise they would take stones outside their hut and make that. And then they make a fire outside too. They had that also where was where they, I think they were brewing the coffee out there, and they warmed the milk and the inside the hut. But they raised their beds, and the whole entire family, grandmother, grandfather, mother, father, and all the children, there were 4 children, all slept in the same one room. But the beds were raised with sticks and blankets, like high, sort of like making a place underneath. I suppose the dogs and maybe some of the other stuff were sleeping underneath them. but the smiles on their faces and the way they treated us and open their family to us, and the elder of the family was gracious, and he sat there very calmly and welcomed us, and he chewed some kind of seeds in his mouth, like a tobacco, and he was offering that to anybody that wanted some. It was primitive.
Mhm.
That was their way of life. But I also noticed in the Indian villages too, there were sometimes 4 or 5 temples in the same little village with maybe 25 people. And they all respected each other's god or goddess because, they have all these different temple
Yes,
shrines.
yes.
And they all had the same respect for each other's temple and religion. That was that was pretty awesome. They they didn't have a lot, but whatever they did, we were acknowledging a deity of some sort, and they lived by that. And most everything was done by hand. Like when the goats were milking the goat, by hand. I happen to know how to do that, but that's unusual, for a New York City girl. But I that's because I grew up on we didn't milk cows by hand, but I learned how to do it anyway. I've seen it, and they're very happy and very seem to be very pleased.
So, what do you think that robs us out of joy and happiness in modern society? Because now
Oh,
there are courses and classes that you literally can get to learn how to be happy.
really? I think it's a very personal thing. I think some people, well, let me just think. I don't want to talk about other people. Are you asking me? There are some things that I find happiness in. When I'm out on a walk in New York, especially when during spring or in the winter, I really notice nature. Now, if you pay attention to nature, that's why I like to go to the beach every summer. I need to be on the ocean for at least a good week on the ocean, or experience it every day or whatever, every day for like 6 or 7 days, and just watch the waves come through. Now, the ocean is a constant. It can be roaring and angry, and it can be calm like a mirror. And just to watch 24 hours, the high tide, the low tide, and observe that, the sunrise, the sunset, the moonrise. I mean, I'm shocked sometimes when I live on over here along the river, so it's easier to see the skyline sometimes. I'm shocked in New York City when people don't realize that there's a full moon out there, and it can be such a clear bell night, and there's that moon just bright as can be coming up over the trees or over the East River. And I say, did you see the moon? No. Oh no, where is it? Where is it? And they look. I just I don't understand that. I mean, that's how I think we discover it. I don't think I get great joy from watching that. So I think for me personally, I can get in my own head. When I stay in my own head, that's where I'm unhappy. When I allow myself to be outside and be in nature, or just meeting people on the sidewalk and seeing how beautiful these little kids are or the dogs, gives me my happiness. Now, that's very simplistic, yes, but I think that's what's missing. And I don't think I need to go to a class for that. All I have to do is open up my eyes and be ready. But our society has been tainted by constant um, text, emails, messages, alerts, all sorts of noises that this is coming in, the text is coming in, the emails coming in. Used to be the old phone when I was a kid. The phone was hanging on the on the wall with a big crank ringer bell, and then when it rang like a long ring, everybody picked up the phone because it was the operator in town telling everybody that had a phone that there was a fire in so and so's house and please go help put the fire out, or that Mrs. Jones just had a baby girl and everybody was so excited. They would announce the news that way. Now, this is because I was born in the 40s. But what I'm just saying is that, you don't, we have so much thrown at us. I think sometimes we pay too much attention to that.
That's true. So many distractions.
Yeah. And so it's up to you whether you want to turn it off or not.